how do you most effectively reduce your Bitcoin on-chain transaction fees? Now, we all know when it comes to Bitcoin, with its decentralization and immutability, there is no second best. But with those accolades come trade-offs, sometimes in the form of high on-chain transaction fees. Today, we're going to take a look at the tools that are currently available for you to reduce those fees. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions. This is your daily session.
HODL the Bitcoin.
Before we dive in, quick shout out to sponsors of the show, HodlHodl.com. If you are buying Bitcoin and you have a few priorities in mind, including peer-to-peer trading, instant self-custody, and no KYC, this is the place to be. You can sign up with nothing more than an email address. Once you're in, simply scroll down, choose your currency, payment method, and amount, and you can start browsing offers immediately. They also have peer-to-peer lending in which nothing is ever rehypothecated. You can check them out today. Links are in the show notes down below. Now, of course, when you do get your hands on some non-KYC Bitcoin or otherwise, you're going to want to secure it with some of the best hardware on the market. Now, I love everything Coldcard is doing. The Coldcard Mark IV is my go-to hardware of choice, and I have all their other goodies as well, like the tap signers, sats cards, block clocks, open dimes, and I've pre-ordered a whole bunch of the Coldcard Q, which should be coming soon. So if you want to pre-order that or pick up anything else I mentioned, head over to coinkite.com. You can use code BTC Sessions for 5% off everything in the store. Backups, of course, are also very important. You want your seed phrase to be secure from the elements, things like fire, water, and corrosion. And the Seedor has one of the most robust and beautifully designed options on the market. It has a disc and capsule design. And the cool thing about this is it's incredibly robust, but it's also able to be swapped out. So if you have a new seed that you need to replace, you don't need to replace the whole thing. You can just swap out the discs and it is equally secure. They have a starter pack that comes with everything you need for either one or two seed phrases, and all the links are down below so that you can get the lowest shipping based on where you are shipping it to. You can check them out today. So Seedor, links are down below. Nunchuk. They have you covered with your assisted multisig needs. What this is a multisig wallet that you can set up on your mobile device using your hardware of choice, things like tap signer, Coldcard, and plenty of other options. Once it's set up, they hold one key and you hold the rest. And it has baked in inheritance planning so that your sats can get to your next of kin if anything should happen to you. And one of my favorite parts about it is that the entire thing is no KYC. You don't need to give up your private information in order to set it up and have it work for you. So check them out today, nunchuk.io. I've also got a full tutorial on it if you give it a search. And finally, shout out to Start9, your sovereign computing solution. What do these guys do? They have plug-and-play solutions to host your digital life, including Bitcoin and your personal data. So you can basically get a variety of different devices, everything from starter entry level to what I'm running, which is the Start9 Server Pure. When you have a device and plug it in, you can access it directly from your browser. And what you'll see is the ability to run things like Bitcoin Core, Lightning Network, mempool.space, Join Market. You can also host your data like files, passwords, photos. They have AI programs that you can run in a self-sovereign way. You can also host Nostr clients and relays and plenty of other options. They do have a reduction in price for the Start9 Server Pure. And if you use my code, which is BTC Sessions with a plus sign at the end of it, specifically for the Pure, you'll get a further 18% off. So go check them out, start9.com. And with that, let's dive into the tutorial. So let's start off with some prerequisites. What are you going to need to know in order to successfully navigate this tutorial? Well, I'm going to be using a variety of tools here, and I'm going to start off by saying that every single one of these tools, apps, websites, whatever it may be, I have an individual video for each one of these. So they will all be linked in the show notes down below. If I happen to gloss over some things and you need a deeper dive, they are all right down here. And there will be parts where I kind of start off with applications that are kind of already set up, like wallets that already exist. And so if you need that how do you set up a wallet type thing, then yes, that's what the links down below are for. So let's take a look at what I am going to be using today. So I'm going to be using an exchange that is here specifically in Canada called Bull Bitcoin. So I'm going to be pulling some money off of Bull Bitcoin. Of course, this does not apply to my American friends, but what I need you guys to have is I need you to find an exchange that does not have withdrawal fees. If your exchange has withdrawal fees, when you go to remove Bitcoin from it, you are doing it wrong. An efficient exchange will batch withdrawals to multiple customers all at the same time and will eat that on-chain fee because it's negligible in the context of paying multiple people at the same time. If you're getting dinged with fees, find a better exchange. If you're in the US, I know that Strike and Cash App both offer zero withdrawal fees. I think Swan as well, and I'm sure there's a plethora of others, but please look around, make sure you're not getting dinged there because that's going to be key in avoiding on-chain fees, of course. Now, we are going to be utilizing the Liquid network in this example with a few different apps here. And the first one is going to be Sideswap. You can get this on desktop. I will be using it on desktop in this video, but I do quite like the mobile interface. In fact, I kind of prefer it. So it would be cool for you to use mobile, but it's totally up to you as well. We're also going to be using a service called Boltz. This allows you to swap between a Liquid network and a Lightning network seamlessly, quickly, and very, very cheaply. Now, you can just use Sideswap and kind of stick it there, and that is just your Liquid network wallet. But I do kind of prefer using for regular day-to-day and for saving and using hardware. I prefer Blockstream Green for that purpose, for the Liquid network specifically. So that's what I'm going to be using here. I'm also going to be using a Blockstream Jade, though I'm not going to be diving deep into the inner workings of how to use it. You will see me referring to, oh, I'm securing my Liquid Bitcoin with a hardware device, and that is the Blockstream Jade. Videos linked down below. When I'm using Lightning, I will be using a self-custodied Lightning wallet. It is called Phoenix Wallet. I love it. I think it works great. And you're not trading off by being with a custodian, but there are tips and tricks to utilize Phoenix in the most efficient way so that you're not paying a bunch of on-chain fees every time that you receive. You can kind of onboard in one fell swoop, and we'll get to that when we get to it, but Phoenix is what I'm using. Just be aware that initial transaction into Phoenix, there's going to be an on-chain fee. And then finally, and this is kind of like a little extra bonus, but this is what I'm going to be using as an example in this video. I'm going to be using Sparrow Wallet as an example of my long-term savings wallet. And even though I won't explicitly be using it in the video, you can assume that I'm using my Coldcard for the security mechanism, for the security device to keep my funds or the keys to my funds offline. So if you're curious about that, again, Coldcard, that's what I would be using in that situation. So there's a bunch of stuff here. Again, all videos linked down below. And yeah, and there's parts of it that you may not necessarily need to use if you don't want to have multiple hardware devices and everything. The Jade also allows you to secure regular on-chain Bitcoin, and you can do that through Blockstream Green, so you can kind of have it all in one place if you prefer, but that is totally up to you. Anyways, we're going to jump now to just a quick explanation of the trade-offs between on-chain, fully custodial, and the stuff in between, which I would say is Lightning and Liquid network, depending on how you're using them. So let's do a little discussion on that. Okay, so this section, I just want in the context of fees versus security. Okay, so let's first start off with the polar opposite ends of the spectrum. So we'll say the worst possible thing that you can do is just leave your funds sitting on an exchange because you're giving up all your self-sovereignty. At any point, your funds could be stolen or frozen. You could be locked out of an account, whatever it may be. You have no real control there. You have an IOU. Okay, so most Bitcoiners know that, not your keys, not your coins. On the other polar opposite end of the spectrum, you have full self-custody and security with hardware, okay? And this is my example of Sparrow Wallet with a Coldcard. Great, you have full custody of your coins. They are on-chain. Your keys are secured offline by a hardware device like a Coldcard or whatever it may be. That's kind of your gold standard. And maybe you're going the further extra step of some sort of multi-sig or whatever. That's besides the point. Here's your two ends. Now, the middle space is filled out by these in-between options, okay? Lightning Network, many will be obviously familiar with. It's becoming quite ubiquitous. And it kind of comes in a couple different flavors. There's, of course, the custodial Lightning Wallet option. And people tend to like that because onboarding is very easy. There's zip when it comes to onboarding fees for that. You're not paying on-chain fees because the custodian, the person running that wallet, already has a Lightning node and established channels and everything. But it's important to be cognizant that what are you really doing there? If you move from an exchange and then you eventually get into a Lightning wallet that's custodial, it's important to realize that you've not really traded, you've not really improved materially from the custodian that you were with previously at the exchange. You're just at a perhaps less accountable custodian, but there may be less information and KYC required to operate that wallet. But there is also jurisdictional risk with that. So in this example, we're going to be using a full self-custody wallet known as Phoenix. There are others out there. This just happens to be the one I'm using today. And with the responsibility of self-custody also comes the fact that your phone is effectively running a Lightning node. And so when you initially set it up and start receiving transactions, there will be on-chain fees to set up a Lightning channel to you. However, you can do that in a very efficient way, in the way that I'm going to outline here, so that you only incur that fee maybe once, maybe twice if you get a lot of inbound transactions and your balance builds. But we're going to try and optimize that the best we can. Okay, so that's Lightning. Oh, one last thing about Lightning, actually, I wanted to mention. The trade-off with Lightning also is that it cannot be secured by hardware. The very nature of the network necessitates that it be a hot wallet that is on an internet-connected device. So that is kind of the trade-off there. Low fees, quick transactions works quite well, especially for me. Phoenix works like an absolute dream, but I can't secure it with hardware. Okay, so let's jump to Liquid Network. A lot of people are a lot less familiar with Liquid, and there are trade-offs to be had, but there's also some benefits. So it's up to you to decipher whether the trade-offs in this example are worth it. So the Liquid Network is a federated multisig. There are 15 entities geographically dispersed. These are all companies around the globe in different countries all over the place, and they hold the keys to an 11 of 15 multisig. This multisig is where Bitcoin goes in, and every time that Bitcoin goes into the multisig, there is liquid Bitcoin created 1-to-1. So every Bitcoin in the multisig is represented by liquid Bitcoin. Anytime Bitcoin leaves the multisig, liquid Bitcoin is destroyed. These are known as peg ins and peg outs, okay? Adding to the liquid network, removing from the liquid network. What is the risk here with this? Of course, this is on a spectrum. Again, we had our best and worst. We had, you're sitting on an exchange. That's the worst. You're trusting one entity with your coins. You have full self-custody on-chain secured by hardware. That's the best. Nobody can tell you no. You own the coins on-chain and it's irrefutable. Liquid is somewhere in that middle gray zone. It's not nearly as good as self-custody. Of course, we know this, but it is notably better than sitting on a single exchange. Why? Because of the federated multisig model. 11 of the 15 multisig signers, 11 of the 15 out of that federation would have to simultaneously collude to rug pull and break that peg between Bitcoin and liquid Bitcoin. Okay. Now, I'm not advising people sit in liquid Bitcoin indefinitely, but as a mid-term stacking mechanism to reduce fees, it could be a viable option. And this is what I'm starting to look at and I'm starting to use a bit more regularly. So what are the benefits with that trade-off of the federated multisig model? Well, the benefits are, number one, fees are incredibly low, all right? You're going to be paying maybe a couple hundred sats for a transaction. Number two, the transactions are actually quite a bit quicker. You have 1 minute block times, and after 2 minutes, every transaction is fully confirmed. On top of that, the transactions are also shielded, meaning that the amount and the asset transacted are blinded to the public. The public can see that a transaction took place, but they do not know the amount that has been sent or received. And then finally, you can secure liquid with hardware. And this is what we're going to do in this example. So you don't have to worry about having a large amount of funds sitting in a hot wallet. So what you can do is you can swap into liquid. You can let it build up a little bit. Transactions are super cheap back and forth wherever you want to move them. And once it gets to a threshold where you're uncomfortable with it sitting in liquid, you can swap to on-chain Bitcoin into your cold storage. On top of this, you can also easily swap to Lightning Network. So if you want spending cash day to day, you can do that with, again, negligible fees. So those are your benefits with the trade-off of a federated multisig. So I hope that you'll take that into consideration as we go through this. If you want more info on Liquid and all of the tools that I'm going to be using, again, I will have links down below for you to check out. With that, let's dive into the actual tutorial itself. And we're going to be starting from the exchange, which is efficient, batches transactions, and is eating that on-chain fee for me. Okay, so here I am on Bull Bitcoin. I'm already logged in. I have funds available in my account. I have 100 Canadian dollars here, and I would like to buy some Bitcoin, and I want to withdraw it, but I want to do it in a way where moving forward, my fees are going to be negligible if I want to, put it into cold storage, if I want to get day-to-day spending cash, whatever it may be. Now, I will say that Bull Bitcoin is already set up so that all of the additional hops that I'm about to do here are not necessary. Why is that? Well, because they have the option to withdraw directly to Lightning or directly to Liquid. I mean, these guys were prepped and ready for high fee environments. So hats off to them. Thank you, Bull Bitcoin, for being awesome. But I digress. There's a good chance that a lot of you watching this don't have these options on your exchange. You may have the Lightning option because that's becoming a little bit more frequent, but you likely don't have the Liquid option yet. There are exchanges that offer Liquid. You can peek around for those if you want to kind of streamline this whole thing and go from there. But nonetheless, this is what we're going to deal with. We're going to withdraw a regular Bitcoin transaction from the exchange and have it swap directly into the Liquid network for us. How are we going to do that? We're going to do that with something called Sideswap, and I've got it on my desktop right here. I'll pop over to it really quick. So this is Sideswap. Again, it's I prefer the interface when I am sitting on my mobile, but for the time being, this will work just fine. The important thing is whether you're on desktop or whether you are on your mobile, down at the bottom of the screen, there's going to be a few tabs, and you're looking for the peg in/peg out button, okay? The other thing I'll say is that this wallet is already set up. It's just like setting up a regular Bitcoin wallet. You're going to get 12 or 24 words. You're going to write them down. You're going to keep them safe. And that's your backup to your Sideswap wallet. So that's that. If you want more info, video down below. Okay, so I'm going to go to the peg in, peg out option. This allows me to go from on-chain Bitcoin to liquid Bitcoin and vice versa. There's a tab for each. Boom, boom, back and forth. Awesome. Okay, so the peg in, all I'm going to do, I'm going to hit the peg in button. This is going to provide an on-chain Bitcoin address that I can send Bitcoin to. As soon as there are, I believe, 2 confirmations, then I will receive liquid Bitcoin into my Sideswap wallet. So again, all I need to do is copy this address and then send Bitcoin to it. We're going to do that directly from the exchange, which is covering the on-chain fee to do so. Awesome. It's important to note there is a conversion rate. It sits around 99.9%. So you're paying 0.1% or 0.1% for the conversion. That's negligible, especially when you're in a high fee environment, to be able to move around very cheaply from here on in. So I've copied this address. Important to note the last few digits, 5SCC, so that when I paste it, I know it's the right one. Great. So I'm going to buy Bitcoin. I'm not going to swap to anything different here. We're doing an on-chain withdrawal from Bull Bitcoin. All they ask is, hey, my account's already funded. I'm going to put in my Bitcoin address, 5SCC, looks good. I'm going to hit create by Bitcoin order. And then how much am I buying? I'd specified $100, so the full amount. Okay, create by order. Okay, awesome. It says confirm Bitcoin purchase. You're going to get this much Bitcoin, so around 189,000 sats. I'm going to confirm the purchase. Okay. And it says, hey, you're going to be part of our batching system. There's a scheduled transaction time in which this transaction will go out to the address that I've designated, which is Sideswap. As soon as it hits there, 2 confirmations, and I should have my liquid Bitcoin. So I got a little bit of time to wait. I got an hour and a bit here. So we will jump back in after I've received that, and we have our liquid Bitcoin sitting in Sideswap. Flash forward later in the day, Bull Bitcoin has now sent out the Bitcoin to the designated address. And if we peek over here back on Sideswap, we can actually see that it has gotten a couple confirmations, and we should now have our liquid Bitcoin sitting in our wallet here. And if I just go home, I can see, hey, I have a balance, 189,207 sats. The exchange rate I ended up getting was 99.85%. So I was spending a total of 0.15% in order to swap into Bitcoin, which again, less than 0.2% to avoid fees moving forward or avoid high on-chain fees moving forward. Pretty good. So I now have this in a hot wallet. It is sitting here on my computer. And this is a hot wallet. And by the way, this is a US dollar denominated. I was pulling from a Canadian exchange. Yes, the Canadian exchange rate is that bad. But nonetheless, I have my liquid Bitcoin sitting here. So at this point, I'm now in a medium that allows me to move around very, very quickly and for low fees. Now, at this point, I may want to move this into something a bit more secured by hardware. So we're going to take a look at doing that next. All right, so I now have open Blockstream Green, and this is kind of my preferred liquid wallet of choice. You can also manage on-chain Bitcoin here as well. And I currently have plugged in a Blockstream Jade, which is a hardware device you can use to, of course, secure Bitcoin, but also to secure liquid Bitcoin so that you don't have to have it sitting in a hot wallet, which I will contend is a good choice for a medium level stack. And what I mean is you can build up a bit of a stack in the method that we saw, swapping into liquid, let it build up, secure it with hardware in the interim, and then move it off when you see fit for various purposes. And we'll get into that later. So let's just take a quick look at what it's like to send a liquid transaction over to my hardware now. So I've got both wallets open. Underneath, I've got Sideswap open still. So here in Blockstream Green, and again, I've got videos on this down below if you need some more in-depth coverage. There's a little receive button in the bottom right. So I'm going to hit that. That's going to bring up a QR code for me. So if you're on mobile, you could just scan it. Otherwise, I can just hit copy to copy that address. I'm going to make a note of the last few digits as well. ZJ4TO. Okay, cool. And then I'll jump back over to Sideswap. I'll click on my liquid Bitcoin. I want to send it somewhere. I want to send it to the address I just copied. ZJ4TO looks good. And I'm going to send over the max amount because I want it to sit in my, secured with my Blockstream Jade. So I'm going to hit review. Okay, here's my overview of what I'm sending. And it looks like the network fee is going to be a whopping 137 sats. How will I ever financially recover from this? We're going to hit sign and broadcast, and off it shall go over to Blockstream Green, where I can secure it with my Jade. So I'll just X out of this QR code. We should see it pop up here momentarily into my wallet as an unconfirmed transaction. And you'll notice that this process is effectively the same as what you do with on-chain Bitcoin. You get a receive address and you can just send to it at any point. I don't need to be monitoring. I don't need to be online. I don't need to do any of that stuff. And there we can see the unconfirmed transaction coming in, and it will just be there. And it's unlike Lightning in that you don't need to have a node online or anything like that. It's just there. So what we're seeing right now is it will take 1 minute for a confirmation of this transaction. After 2 minutes, it is fully confirmed and irreversible on the Liquid sidechain. On top of this, the transaction itself is shielded to the public, so nobody could actually see what amount this was if I wasn't obviously filming it for you right now. So if I go and I say view in Explorer, it will actually show me, and I just got to pull it across my screen here. It will actually show me the transaction on the Liquid sidechain, but we don't get any information about what was actually spent. So we don't know exactly, how much money was spent. We see the fee. We don't see anything else. We don't even know if it was actually liquid Bitcoin being transacted or if it was, a stable coin or something like that, because that's possible on Liquid. But that's besides the fact. So that's what the public sees. And we can see we already have a confirmation here. And after 2 confirmations, again, the transaction is fully irreversible. But for all intents and purposes, we have our funds secured by our hardware wallet on Blockstream Green with the Blockstream Jade in a minute at a cost of 100 and some odd sats. Pretty awesome. In this section, I now want to dive into when you want to move out of Liquid for different purposes. And the first one we're going to highlight is, what if you want day-to-day spending cash in a Lightning wallet that is self-custodial? And I'm going to focus on self-custodial because, again, we're trying to, yes, avoid fees, but also, number 2, we're trying to be as self-sovereign as possible. Obviously, there's a trade-off with Liquid and the federated model, but it's, for me, an acceptable trade-off in the interim in order to avoid those on-chain fees. But let's also, again, try to stay self-sovereign with this in terms of Lightning. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be swapping seamlessly between Liquid and Lightning, and I'm going to send it to a Lightning wallet I have on my phone. Now, the wallet I have on my phone is Phoenix Wallet. At the time of recording, this is kind of my default go-to Lightning wallet, and it is self-custodial. And with that, you need to be aware that when you send transactions to Phoenix, especially for the first time, it needs to establish a Lightning channel to you, and that incurs an on-chain fee. However, there's an efficient way you can go about this so that you don't incur more on-chain fees repeatedly. And the mechanism through which you'll do this is you let your Liquid balance build up. Okay, you want to get to a threshold, whatever that threshold may be, should be in and around what you're comfortable with having as spending cash in your wallet, or maybe beyond that, maybe double the amount that you're used to or that you would be comfortable with as spending cash in a hot wallet on your phone. And the reason that you're going to go a bit beyond that is you're going to send that much in a swap mechanism that I'm going to show you how to Phoenix Wallet. You're going to incur an on-chain fee for that, but this is going to establish a large Lightning channel to Phoenix, and that gives you lots of liquidity. And then with the remainder, the part that you're uncomfortable with sitting in a Lightning wallet, a hot wallet on your phone, you're going to swap back to Liquid again for a very minimal fee. And then you're going to have that sitting in your cold storage until you want to actually move it into savings or whatever else you want to do with it. But nonetheless, we're being conscious and we're being efficient in our way of setting up inbound liquidity and outbound liquidity to our Phoenix wallet. So let's see how we're going to do that. We're going to utilize something called Boltz. This is Boltz.exchange, BOLTZ.exchange. It allows you to swap between a Lightning network and Liquid network and vice versa. So you can swap and just switch around just with the little arrow here. But basically, you're going to go to the site. You're going to choose your direction. For us, we are going from Liquid into Lightning. Now, I will say that my Phoenix wallet already has a large channel to it. So, the inbound liquidity is already kind of set up and good to go for me. But for you, the first time you do this, you're going to want to have a good chunk of change that you're all going to send over, and then we'll look how to swap back to it afterwards. Okay, so I am sending Liquid. I am receiving Lightning. So how much would I like to send over? Well, in this instance, as an example, let's do 1 million sats, okay? At the time of recording this video, I think that's, I don't know, $360 or something like that. You may want to do more. You may want to send over like 2 million sats or 5 million sats or whatever it is. Whatever you send over, that's going to be the size, in and around the size of the channel that will be established with your Lightning node via Phoenix, okay? And it's all automated in the background. Okay, so this is 1 million sats that I would like to send over. Keep in mind that the max amount is 25 million sats, is a quarter of a Bitcoin. You can swap easily here, which is awesome. You can also send small amounts, like like 1,200 sats or something, which is also pretty cool. Nonetheless, okay, 1 million sats. What do I need to do now? It says you can paste a Bolt 11 Lightning invoice, a Lightning address, whatever. So if you are on a custodial option, that will work, just posting a Lightning address. But I'm going to do an invoice, and it says the amount I need to do the invoice for, which is 998,854 sats. Okay. So again, I'm not going to show this specific. Maybe I'll quickly just bring up full screen, but I'm just hitting on Phoenix. There's a receive button at the bottom. I'm going to hit that. Again, if you need more guidance in and around Phoenix, watch the video down below. On the invoice screen, there is an option to edit the invoice, the amount. So I'm going to hit the edit button there, and I'm going to type in the exact amount I see, 998,854, 998,854. And then there's a button that says create invoice. I'm going to hit that now. That gives me my QR code, and there's a copy button where I can copy that invoice. I'm going to get that over to my computer so that I can paste in that invoice here on Boltz, and I usually just send it to myself through Telegram or some sort of messenger, whatever you have handy. So I'll do that really quick. We'll be right back. All right, here we are. I've now pasted in my invoice, which I've got over here. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say create atomic swap. And so this is now going to bring up a QR code. So if I was still sitting on Sideswap on my mobile, then I could scan here. You can also get Blockstream Green on mobile and manage it there if you want. But nonetheless, we're doing this on the computer. So it does give us options to copy the address and the amount. So I'm going to copy the address. Let's pop over here to Blockstream Green. I'm going to hit send. I'm going to paste in that address. And now I need the amount. I'm going to copy the amount. It does copy the amount in sats, so you may need to manually change your Liquid wallet to be denominated in sats and not Liquid Bitcoin. Just be aware of that. But nonetheless, mine's already changed, so I'm sending over 1 million sats, which is actually around $380 right now. So I'm going to hit review. It says, hey, you're sending this much to this address. Does that look good to you? I'm going to say yes. I'm going to hit send. And then right now, because this is linked to my Blockstream Jade, it's just asking me to confirm on the device like you would with any regular hardware wallet. You can check out the Jade video in the links. but I'm approving it right now. And we can see that transaction is now sent. And so what's going to happen is in a moment, we'll see, there we go. Transaction is now in the mempool. And so it's waiting for confirmations before it will send a Lightning transaction directly to my Phoenix wallet. And so I should see that pop in momentarily. And we'll see what that looks like when it does. Okay, and I can now see in Phoenix, I just received a transaction for the amount designated 998854 sats. Now, if you did not have a channel yet, then you would be receiving that much minus the on-chain fee. We can also see it confirmed here now on Boltz. So I was able to swap out with nothing more than just the fee for Boltz, which is, again, a fraction of a percentage. And so for you, again, you're going to want to establish that big inbound channel first, which will just be automatically subtracted in Phoenix itself. And then after that, you'll be able to spend out as you see fit with just regular Lightning transaction fees and speed, which is great. Okay, so let's say that now that I sent over that million sats to my Lightning wallet, that was beyond my threshold. I wanted to establish a large channel, but I don't want all of that sitting there. I want the ability to receive more transactions, and I want to put part of that back into my savings with my Blockstream Jade. Well, we can do a swap back to Liquid. We will retain the Lightning channel that we had. So we've got now the ability to transact on Lightning, and we're not going to be incurring on-chain fees anymore to receive, okay? So let's set that up. We're back on Boltz. We decided to do a new swap. I've used the little arrow in the middle to swap back so that we're going from Lightning to Liquid. And I've designated, I'm going to send about half of what I sent to my Lightning wallet back to Liquid, okay? The fee that I'm incurring here is 428 sats. That's the network fee with Liquid. And then the Boltz fee for the service of swapping is 0.25%. So, negligible. Okay, I'm going to jump over to my Blockstream Green or whatever Liquid wallet I'm using. I'm going to hit receive, even though you can't see the button. You get the point. And I'm going to grab an address here. I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to jump back and paste it in. Okay, so there's my address. I'm going to hit create atomic swap. That's going to bring up a Lightning invoice for me. And so I'm just on Phoenix. I'm just hitting the send button, which automatically opens up the camera. I'm going to scan what I have right here. And it gives me the invoice for 500,000 sats. I'm hitting pay right now. And off it should go. And so there we go. And it says the swap already happened. So it's instant with Lightning. So when I jump back, I should X out of this. And I should see an incoming transaction in very quickly here. There it is, 498,000 sats and some odd sats. So I swapped back from Lightning to Liquid even faster, doing it with Lightning as a sender because Lightning is instant, and I get my Liquid Bitcoin more or less instantaneously into my Jade. It's now secured by hardware. So just to review what we just did, I sent over 1 million sats to Phoenix. This established a large channel to my Lightning wallet so that I can then, use it, I can spend, and I can receive. And then I swapped half of it back, or whatever you designate. I swapped a bunch of it back to Liquid so I could secure it. And now I've got liquidity going in and out. I'm not going to really have to worry about on-chain fees at this point with my Lightning wallet because I've got that big channel, and it won't be a problem moving forward. Okay, so let's say that you've been using Liquid, you've been stacking with Liquid, and you're securing it, in either a hot or a cold wallet with a Jade or something like that. But you've reached a threshold where you're now thinking to yourself, okay, I think it makes economic sense. And for me, I'd be more comfortable if I had my stuff on chain, secured with hardware, not on the Liquid network anymore, but like the main Bitcoin chain. And this makes economic sense to me to pay that on-chain fee, put it in cold storage for the extended future. Okay, great. What are you going to do now? Well, if you're on Blockstream Green, you're going to want to get back over to Sideswap. If you're already sitting on Sideswap, then you're already where you need to be. But nonetheless, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to send over, let's say 2 million sats to Sideswap. So I've got them both open here. I'll just go to Sideswap. I'm going to hit receive up top right. It's a lot more obvious on the mobile version, but nonetheless, you're going to hit receive, and I'm going to generate an address. I'm going to copy that address, jump back over to Blockstream Green. I'm going to hit the send button. I'm going to paste in the address. We're going to say how much we'd like to send. So 2 million sats. It's about $760 at the time of recording this video. I'm going to hit review. Okay, you're sending to this address, this amount. That looks good. I'm going to hit send. And then on my Blockstream Jade, which I have, again, videos down below, I'm just going through, I'm approving it. I say that looks good. Off it goes. That is now sent. Great. Blockstream Green, we don't need you anymore. We're going to jump over and we should see, yeah, already, here's an incoming transaction. We're just going to wait 2 minutes for it to be fully confirmed. And then we're going to figure out how to peg out directly into our hardware wallet on another wallet. We're going to go into Sparrow Wallet secured by a Coldcard. All right, so we have our 2 confirmations. We have 2 million sats sitting here in Sideswap. Great. So we now want to peg out so that we can get these 2 million sats into cold storage, and they're going to sit there for an extended period of time. We don't need day-to-day quick, cheap transfers. We just want, this is our savings, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the Bitcoin wallet that I want to send to, okay? And so I'm pulling up, this is an example wallet, but it's one that I use for tutorials, but we're going to pretend that this is my Sparrow wallet linked to my Coldcard, because that, you know, that's a solid setup that I really like. Okay, so by the way, if you're curious about Coldcard, Sparrow Wallet, again, videos for everything linked down below if you're unfamiliar. Nonetheless, you're getting it into the wallet that you want to save in. I'm going to hit receive. I'm going to copy an address. I'm going to give it a label. I'll say liquid peg out. Okay, I'm going to copy this address. So I just need a Bitcoin address that I'm sending to. I'm going to jump over to Sideswap. I'm looking for the peg in and out button again. Okay, and now I'm going to hit the tab over to peg out. I'm going to paste in my address here, and I can see it looks the same. That looks good. How much am I pegging out? I'm going to peg out all of it. Otherwise, you could type in a specific amount, but I'm typing that in. This is in LBTC, not in sats, so that's why it's a decimal. Nonetheless, okay, I'm sending this much out. I should receive an on-chain transaction for 8,727 sats, okay? It shows that the fee suggestions, it's going to be around 46 sats per byte on chain. So I am incurring an on-chain fee in order to get this into my cold storage. So this is why we let it build up to a certain point until an on-chain fee makes sense economically for us to do so. Okay, I'm going to hit the peg out button. This is a hot wallet, so it should just auto send. And so we can see LBTC going out. BTC will be headed into my Sparrow wallet. In fact, I should get a notification relatively quickly from Sparrow Wallet itself as it updates and sees that on-chain transaction coming in. So we'll just give it a second here as we're going through. And just to note also over on Sideswap here, it does give you a transaction ID that you can audit and you can check. And so I believe it will wait for the 2 confirmations, the 2 minutes to trigger that. But then as soon as it does, we'll see it come through in Sparrow. So we'll just jump ahead when that happens. All right, and so we got a notification here, Sparrow Wallet incoming 1.988 million sats coming into the wallet. We can see it here. And then back here, we saw it did show completed. I clicked outside of it, but nonetheless, we got our swap. So we moved from liquid into on-chain Bitcoin that would be then secured by my Coldcard and viewable in Sparrow Wallet. And we did that by only incurring that on-chain fee when we were ready, when we had built up enough Bitcoin to make economic sense, instead of sending little pieces of 50 and $100 here and there. Much better, in my opinion, for on-chain fees to do it this way. So I want to finish off here by adding just a few tips and tricks that I think are important to know through this process. Number one, we sent into Phoenix via a swap from Liquid, and we established a large channel. Now, Phoenix does something called splicing, so that when you receive a transaction that goes up above the total amount of the capacity of the channel connected to you, you'll incur another on-chain fee to increase that capacity, that inbound capacity. However, the inverse is true if you were to send out on-chain from Phoenix. And so what I'm getting at here is if you want that large channel to remain, then it might not be the best idea to send out from Phoenix on-chain, because you're actually shrinking the size of your Lightning channel that's available to you. So if you don't want to do that, don't send out on-chain from Phoenix, because your Lightning channel will shrink. And if you go to receive, again, a higher amount that goes above that new lower balance, you're going to hit with another on-chain fee. So be cognizant of that. You can go in the settings and see the size of your channel there if you like. Up next, I wanted to mention that there are a lot of exchanges that do deal with the Liquid network. And so there's a whole bunch of them that you can look at. And if I can pull it up here really quick. So this is liquid.net, and they do have a list of various entities that do have support for Liquid. So if you're curious and you want to see if you have a place where you can withdraw directly to get Liquid and not do as many hops and do the Sideswap thing, then there may be some options in there for you. And then finally, I wanted to mention that all of the wallets that I was using today, whether it be the Blockstream Jade, Blockstream Green, just like the hot wallet that I have, Sideswap, Phoenix, literally everything. Fun fact, all of the seed phrases from those were generated from a Coldcard that I have using something called BIP85. And what that did is it makes it so that I don't have to keep all of these different seed phrases separately written on paper or in steel or whatever. I can just have a singular Coldcard and, of course, like a steel backup for that Coldcard. And at any point, if I were to delete Sideswap or the Green or my Jade went kaput or whatever, rather than having to fish around for the seed phrase, I just have a little list of, okay, account number 1 from the Coldcard is for this wallet. Account number 2 is for this. So I can go and I say, oh crap, I deleted Sideswap, but there's money in there. I go back to my Coldcard, go to the BIP85 section and say, what was account number 5? And it'll give me my seed phrase and I can recover. So I thought that was just an interesting little tidbit, not directly related to the point of this video. But if you're curious about that, I will link down to how BIP85 works as well if you want to investigate something similar. So to wrap up with final thoughts here, number one, find an exchange that allows you to withdraw with 0 fees, where they'll cover the on-chain fee because they're being efficient and batching transactions. Or better yet, perhaps find an exchange where you can withdraw with Lightning, or encourage your exchange to support Lightning and Liquid and all of that stuff. I think it's a great option and helps a lot when it comes to fees. There is another way to go about this if you just have access to Lightning, which is not as, there's more trust involved with it. You could let a balance on an exchange build up and then directly withdraw to Phoenix and get that large channel and then hold it. The trade-off there being that you're going to sit on the exchange for longer. And then secondly, once it gets to Phoenix, you don't have that cold storage option that you have with Liquid. Okay, so be cognizant of that. Nonetheless, I don't mind the trade-off with the federated model in the interim And it's going to be up to the individual, but what is your threshold where you might be okay with using Liquid if it gives you the ability to have cheap fees and it gives you the ability to secure with hardware, and then you can always swap back to on-chain, peg out whenever you see fit. And then finally, of course, the name of the game is your long-term savings on-chain secured by hardware. I still think that is the gold standard and what we should all, aspire to. But if on the pathway there you want to be as efficient as possible and you don't want to be bleeding sats, this might be a great option for you. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. What do you think of this flow with the existing tools that are there? What would you love to see change with these tools to make them more accessible and easier? Or do you have a preferred method that maybe isn't this that can help you along the way as well? I would love to hear what you guys are doing in the comments with being as efficient as possible with on-chain fees while still retaining self-custody as best you can. Please let me know. I'd love to hear from all of you. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, please do like, subscribe, and share this video. All those things help a ton. That little like button is just below. Please tap it. Share this on whatever socials you may be on and with anybody that you think may benefit from being able to utilize the low fees with these various tools. And then finally, please do subscribe. I'm on the warpath to get 100,000 subscribers. And if you can help me by simply subscribing yourself, that would be a huge help along that road. And I hope to get there in the next year or so. Outside of that, if you really liked this, you can do a couple things. You can hit all the previously mentioned sponsors, HodlHodl, CoinKite, Seedor, Nunchuk, and Start9. They're all down below. And if you really liked what you saw and you love the tutorials, but maybe they're not quite scratching that itch and you need some extra help, you can go to my website, btcsessions.ca, and there you can book me for one-on-one sessions so that I can help you along with anything that I did here and anything else, maybe setting up hardware, some of the basics around that, nodes, lightning, all of that can all be booked for one-on-ones, and I can help you through so that you can level up quicker. Anyways, with that, I am out. Have yourselves a wonderful day or evening, wherever you may be. See you guys next time for your daily session.
HodlHodl the Bitcoin.